This is the third monthly market snapshot since the pandemic began in March. Here we go. Hi, I'm Jessica Genung with Active Realty, and I am a realtor here in the Murrieta Temecula Valley. Today we're going to be going over the Murrieta numbers like we always do, but we are also going to be adding the Temecula and Menifee numbers. If you would like to download any of the slides for any of these cities, there is a link down below in the description where you can download those slides, and they are available for immediate download. Let's briefly review the months since the pandemic began. So starting in March, the numbers still looked pretty good, and we thought this was because really only about half of the month was heavily affected by the shutdown. So month 2, April, was our first month of full data. There were fewer listings and closings, but the transactions were still going through, and prices, they were holding steady, and they were increasing actually, which was quite a surprise. So now we're going to take a look at what happened in May. May is a little bit more of the same, actually, to our surprise. Although there is lower number of listings and there's lower number of closings, sellers are still getting their price, buyers are still out there, and properties are actually selling quicker than they have been. It certainly feels like things are heating back up just like they were at the beginning of the year before the pandemic hit, now that people are getting more comfortable getting out and about. The demand is still very strong, but the inventory is still very low. So 2 words sum up the real estate market currently: low inventory. Real quick, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you are finding this information helpful and you're interested in learning more about the local real estate market. Also, at the end of the slides that we are about to go over, I am going to give you my humble prediction of where I think the local real estate market is headed over the next few months and towards the end of this year. So stay tuned for that. So let's get to the numbers. Here is Murrieta average sales price. Also, one thing to note, as always with our Murrieta market snapshots, we are only looking at single-family detached homes. So here we go. Average sales price for Murrieta in May of last year, 2019, was $459,000, and in May of this year, it was up to $483,000. That is a 5.2% increase. Now let's take a look at Menifee. In May of last year, they were at $376,000 average sales price versus May of this year, it went up $395,000. That is the same increase of 5.2% as Murrieta. Let's take a look at Temecula. In May of 2019, the average sales price was $551,000. In May of this year, 2020, the average sales price was over $576,000. That is an increase of 4.7%. So that's what we have been talking about, that prices are still increasing. Everybody, they seem to be waiting for a crash, but as you can see, just looking at the Temecula numbers, if you bought a home last year in Temecula versus this year, you have gained about $25,000 in equity, which is still amazing. Now we're going to move on to closed sales, starting with Murrieta. In May of 2019, there were 239 closed sales. In May of this year, there was only 125. That is down 47.7%. Now let's take a look at Menifee's closed sales. May of last year, Menifee had 203 closed sales versus May of this year, 138 closed sales. Also way down 32%. Lastly, we'll take a look at Temecula's closed sales. May of last year, 2019, Temecula had 205 closed sales. May of this year, 2020, Temecula had 127 closed sales, down 38%. So this is what we've been talking about. Less sellers have been willing to put their home on the market during the pandemic, but the reason that the prices still remain strong is because of this low inventory and the sellers holding off putting their homes on the market. Moving on to days on market, starting with Murrieta. In May of last year, it took 40 days to sell a home in Murrieta. In May of this year, days on market was 27 days. That is down 32.5%. Homes are selling quicker. Same thing in Menifee. In May of last year, days on market was 49 days. In May of this year, it's down to 37 days. Homes are selling 24.5% quicker. Last, we'll look at Temecula's days on market. In May of last year, it was 41 days to sell a home. In May of this year, it was 43 days, up 2 days, which is 4.9%. So while Temecula's days on market was basically flat, Menifee and Murrieta's days on market was way down. I think that there's several reasons for this. The first reason is that the buyers were very motivated when a great property came on the market. Because the inventory was so low, they decided to move very quickly. The second reason is because of the COVID pandemic. The sellers were more willing to accept an offer and get their property off the market and not have any more showings, rather than sometimes they want to wait it out a little bit, get more showings, get a better offer, but sellers were definitely moving quicker. The third reason I think that the days on market were down is because of the dicey economic situation. Sellers were more motivated to accept an offer quickly so that they could get their home under contract. So here's the big story, the low inventory. We're going to take a look at Murrieta's number of listings. In May of last year, Murrieta had 586 listings on the market. In May of this year, they only had 284 listings on the market. That is down 51.5%, super low inventory. Let's take a look at Menifee's number of listings. May of 2019, 492 active listings on the market. May of 2020, there were only 286 listings, down 41.9%. Also, huge decrease. Lastly, let's look at Temecula's number of listings. May of 2019, there were 581 listings. In May of this year, there were only 308, down 47%. Okay, last slide that we're going to take a look at is the showing activity. We thought this slide was very interesting. So although the number of showings, as you can see, was way down during the pandemic, that's the orange line, the buyers, they were still very serious and they were closing on homes. But now showing activity is getting back to normal as we head out of the pandemic and people are more comfortable getting out and about. So as promised, I am going to give you my very humble prediction of what is going to happen in the real estate market over the next few months. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion. I may be totally wrong. I have been before. It is also the recent opinion of some prominent real estate figures that I respect and follow in the industry. We believe that the market may start slowing in the fall, and we'll tell you why. The spring selling season was basically put on hold during the pandemic, or maybe it's just been delayed and the sellers are going to start getting off the fence because we know from the last slide that we certainly have the buyer activity. So I think it's just a matter of time before more sellers decide to list their home on the market. What I would like to see is just a little bit of balance, a healthy market for once, not an extreme seller's market, not an extreme buyer's market. So maybe best case scenario, maybe that's what will happen in September. A little bit more inventory, we still have good buyer demand, and we have some appreciation, but maybe just not crazy extreme appreciation, not multiple offers on every transaction that we're writing. Just a little bit of balance would be nice. Thanks so much as always for watching my video. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you want to learn more about the local housing market. I put out this market report every month.